Welcome back to another episode of Playing Around Wisconsin. This journey began in late 2024, and 2025 promises to take you to new places around the state, hopefully inspiring you to see them for yourself. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of Playing Around Wisconsin.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Playing Around Wisconsin. Got my oldest friend on the planet, Corey, here.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Yeah, excited to be at Horicon Hills today. There's a tornado that came through here not terribly long ago, so it should be interesting experiencing some of that. It's my second time out here, Corey's first time, so it should be a fun round of golf regardless. So let's follow along and enjoy.
To begin, I was very excited to bring Horicon Hills to you through Playing Around Wisconsin. By no fault of their own, they've had a bit of a rough start to the 2025 playing season. Tornadoes ripped through the area in the middle of May, really impacting this course and a few others in the region. So hopefully this video here today can inspire you to get your butts out to Horicon Hills, give it a play, and experience this classic layout like Corey and I did. After a long but enjoyable day at Camelot the day before, we decided to play the white tees instead of the blue tees, just to give ourselves a little bit shorter of a round of golf to play. The course itself is not tremendously long from the blue tees at 6,350 yards, so the white tees playing at about 5,900, mid 5,900, was a fair challenge for us today. Measuring 381 yards from the white tees, a miss right is going to be much better than a miss left on this dog leg left. This tabletop type green levels off on the back edge with a slope that goes from back to front, and I just kind of screwed up my filming. Sorry about that, folks. Moving on to the second hole, another dog leg left, basically retracing our steps from the first hole. Corey tried to clear the trees, so did I. Neither one of us really hit good shots off the tee. So all you really need from the tee box on this hole is about 200 yards. Something in the fairway should leave you a pretty decent second shot look. Corey hit an absolutely fantastic second shot avoiding the trees. I airmailed mine just a little bit right over the pin, leaving myself an opportunity to, well, I don't want to spoil any surprises, but chip in for a birdie here. Playing on the 4th of July, it's always nice to have a little extra fireworks. But as you can see from this angle, anything too deep over the green is going to leave you a very difficult second shot with that ridge going behind the green and those big old trees acting as protection from anything going over the top as well. The third hole at Horicon Hills, playing 150 yards from the white tees, is a pretty simple, straightforward, slightly downhill par 3. Sad to say, neither Corey nor I were able to make it look that simple with tee shots off the green, but regardless of which, it's still a pretty simple, straightforward hole. Don't overthink it, just a confident, quality swing should put you somewhere near the green. The green is a pretty large one and does slope with the contours of the entire hole going back to front. And man, they would have been nice to chip 2 in a row in for birds. At this point in time in the round 2, I will admit I was getting a little shaky after having a little bit too much fun the night before celebrating the 3rd of July with some old friends in Milwaukee. So, with my hands shaking like a leaf on a tree, I was pretty pleased finishing the first 3 holes at even par. Both solid starts for Corey and I. At 337 yards from the white tees, the 4th hole is a slight dogleg left that has a pretty large ridge cutting through the center of the fairway. Corey went with driver, and if you hit the ball long enough, you can hit it over that ridge. I hit a pretty weak 3-wood that still left me about 145 yards in from the right side of the fairway. An ample-sized bunker on the left side of the green protect any sort of approach shot coming in on Corey's side. But with that specific placement and the general slope of the hole, make sure you have enough club or hit the ball hard enough to get the ball where you need to. This green's got a lot of slope to it as well, especially more so than the last 3. So keep that in mind. This one's going to move a lot more once you reach the putting surface. And for those keeping score at home, an ugly bogey for me and a solid up and down par for Corey. The 5th hole at 422 yards is a downhill par 4 that I believe is a pretty fun hole. I like anything that's got a little bit of downhill slope to it. The out-of-bounds tree line on the left gets a little bit tight to the fairway at about 175 yards, which impacted my decision going with the 3-wood. And that tree line does open up on the left side once you get past that 175-yard mark. So don't be too scared, but if you can hit something about 250, 260 yards, it should leave a pretty simple second shot like I had. Didn't quite have enough club on my second shot, so I left myself a long birdie putt up the slope. Corey, on the other hand, hit an absolute dart, as he typically does. Nice tap-in birdie for my buddy as we move on to the next hole. Measuring 200 yards from the blue tees and 167 yards from the white tees, the 6th hole is an absolute beauty of a par 3. A helping breeze on the last hole turned into a hurting breeze on this hole, so I picked the wrong club to get the ball to the hole. Bunker on the short right side of the green, access protection on that side of the hole, and all of that water is pretty visually intimidating on the left side. Something to keep in mind if you're not familiar with playing, and this isn't necessarily a guarantee, but oftentimes if there's a pretty large water feature somewhere, a green or fairway or just the course in general is going to slope towards that water. This green fits that bill tremendously. So from the back right to the front left, this green slopes in that general direction towards the water. Thinking about it, this definitely is in the running of my favorite holes on the golf course. The 7th is the first and only par 5 on the front 9 at 518 yards from the back tees and 487 yards from the whites. Not a terribly long hole. Just like the 6th hole, the Rock River is visually intimidating on the entirety of the left side of the hole. And the wind doing what it was doing really brought that water into play, so that's why I chose 3-wood. Thinking confidently I might be able to hit 2 3-woods to the green, considering I'd been hitting it pretty well all day. Unfortunately, didn't quite turn out that way, so I had to leave myself a wedge after topping a 3-wood, short there in 3, really making a hot mess of this hole, both Corey and I. The green is a lot wider than it is long, and it spills off to the left towards the water. Surprise, surprise, like I mentioned on the last hole. So, you might be thinking to yourself, after seeing the last couple of holes, the greens don't look like they're in great shape. And the point of these videos and this entire channel is to not critique or kick a course while it's down, anything of that nature. Keeping a golf course in good working order takes a lot of hard work from a lot of people. I know that from experience, working at country clubs and courses in past years, and knowing that a tornado came through this area just 7 weeks before we had the chance to play there. Overall, everything was in pretty good working order considering what they had to tend to very, very recently. More on that subject later though. Back to the golf course. The 8th hole, 336 yards from the white tees, 350 from the blue tees, is a straight par 4 with marsh land on the left, and the previous hole, the par 5, on the right. That small water hazard should be out of reach for most players, so don't be afraid to hit driver if you're feeling confident and keeping the ball pretty straight with it. And prior to the tornado, a miss on the right would be a lot more punitive, but with all those trees down, it left a lot of open area to hit your second shot in from for both Corey and I. Both Corey and my putts indicate what kind of green slope this has, back to front and left to right. So some fairly identical birdie putts for both Corey and I. At this moment in time, I don't think we were really keeping track. Turns out, par putt here and a par putt for Corey. We were even after 8. Both of us playing fairly solid golf going into the 9th and final hole of the front 9. We were pretty confident about what we could do with this tee shot here. With the clubhouse in the background, this short dogleg right par 4 is pretty reachable and pretty attainable from 309 yards off the white tees. Corey hit an absolutely beautiful draw 5-wood that rolled up to the green. I pulled my 3-wood that left me about 75 yards out, and pretty miserable with the second shot. Leaving something that short with that kind of yardage is pretty disappointed for myself. I will readily admit that here on this channel. Yep. Leaving myself way too much work left for a third shot on this hole. Thankfully I was able to hit one close enough and tap in for a par. Corey's birdie putt here gave it a great chance but stopped right on the lip. And again, respect to the condition of the greens. That's a fantastic roll going through some of the bumpy stuff here on the 9th green. If the 6th hole is in the running for being my favorite hole on this golf course, number 10 gives it a run for its money. 340 yards from the white tees, 359 from the blues. This downhill par 4 has some pretty fantastic vistas of the Rock River behind the green. With any miss left being absolutely dead, I got a little scared and pushed my tee shot to the right. Corey hit a great tee shot that just missed the fairway on the right and wound up putting a wedge to about 10-15 feet to the right of the cup and a great chance for birdie. I was struggling to find a par, missed the putt here, while Corey confidently and unsurprisingly knocks in a birdie putt. Been watching him do this for a very long time, and it's still great to see him stroke the putter as strongly as he does. Now you might be asking yourself, who are these two other gentlemen who joined up with Corey and me? A couple of nice guys from Hartford, really, and having it not be very easy to get put with some random people you've never met before, these guys were a great twosome to add on to Corey and I. Now, speaking of great, there's something not great, a pretty poor hybrid off the tee on this par 4, 348-yard 11th hole with nothing but trouble on the left side and some marshy area coming into play at about 220-230 yards off the tee. So you have to be smart with the club that you choose just to avoid any of the nonsense on the right. After bogeying 10, stepping to this tee box, I really did not want to make a hot mess of this hole. Unfortunately, I did. Per the scorecard, this is the 9th rated handicapped hole on the course. I tend to disagree with it just a little bit, but I'm biased because it chewed me up. Precision is necessary with every single shot on this hole, as opposed to some of the other ones where you can get away with spraying the ball around just a little bit. The 12th hole comes back out of the marsh that we just went into on the 11th hole. This being 344 yards from the white tees and 371 yards from the blue tees is just about the same length as the 11th hole. My first driver of the day was a great one. Corey missed the tee shot just to the left of the green. I wish you could have seen mine. My cameraman neglected to hit record. Thanks a lot, Corey. But all joking aside, an uphill second shot to a blind landing spot on the green really adds to the difficulty of this hole. And you can see with Corey's pitch shot from the back of the green and then the bending of this putt, just exactly what kind of slope this green is going to do. From back to front, from left to right, a good angle to this green keeps it a tough one to make any sort of putt. Couldn't convert my birdie, but I'll take a par. 13th hole, a 182-yard downhill par 3, 195 yards from the blue tees, a really well-protected two-tiered green. This is a really good par 3. With that amount of water on the left, it becomes very easy to swing scared. Certainly didn't intend to do this, but I extended early. Definitely didn't bring the water into play. But if you're going to miss anywhere, of course, missing on the right is a lot better than missing in the water on the left. The pin was placed perfectly on the front edge of the second tier of the green, leaving anything that was short or left really challenging, really difficult. Make sure you hit it to the right tier if you want to give yourself an easy putt. The 14th hole at 395 yards from the white tees and 410 yards from the back tees is a good, challenging, quality par 4. With out of bounds over the road on the right and a good amount of water on the left, you have to be, well, you wouldn't you know it, you got to be precise off the tee. So try not to worry about either thing too much. Know your yardage, know your distances, and confidently swing a club that you feel can put you in the best place to keep the ball in play. With our group becoming a foursome and pace of play in mind, I didn't get a chance to record my second shot up to the green, but regardless of which, I left it short and right. This green is huge. There is a tremendous amount of slope from front to back, especially from where the pin location is, and to Corey right there, who just about holed that putt. The left side of the green spills away from where the pin is located right now, so if you're playing out here and the pin's back left, try not to get suckered into something back there. It's going to be hard to keep the ball on the green. Crossing the road to the 15th hole, we approach a 347-yard par 4 from the white tees, 385 from the blues. There is water on the left side of this hole that really, hopefully, should not come into play unless you miss-hit the ball off the tee. Corey and I both miss-hit. Unfortunately, he found the water. Thankfully, my chunk job barely cleared. But all the tree line on the right side of the fairway through the fairway should act as a target line depending on what club you hit, how far you hit that club, and so on and so forth. So confidently pick a target through the fairway, try to hit the ball to a number that's short of it, and you'll really simplify this hole. Another one of the trickier greens on this golf course, it depends on where the pin's going to be located, and unfortunately, this being my only second time playing out here, I'm not exactly the master of it. But for where Corey's coming from, towards the front side of the green, it's a lot of downhill, and if you're going away from where Corey was standing, it's going to go, well, downhill from that way. So be prepared for a roller coaster on the 15th hole. The final 3 holes at Horicon Hills are a fantastic finish. At 159 yards from the white tees, this green is well protected on the front and back side by sand and water. The green itself, not very deep, leaves you a short-ish window to try to land the ball on. A tip that I'd give a beginner to this sport would be to know how far you have to hit the ball to clear any trouble short, particularly the sand in this case, and how far is too far going over the green. So know your range, therefore you know your number, and hopefully you can put the ball somewhere within that range. Thankfully I walked away with a par, very happy with the 3 on the scorecard. The 17th hole is the toughest on the golf course per the scorecard, and I don't disagree with that really whatsoever. This hole plays a lot longer than the 388 yards that says on the scorecard off the white tees, and thankfully you got a lot of area to miss on the right side of the hole, with number 15 coming pretty close to parallel with number 17. Corey really pull-hooked his tee shot, wound up in the 15th fairway, still gave himself a pretty wide open second shot. I did not hit a very strong driver, still had a decent look at the green from a pretty solid distance out. The green is elevated as well, so a second shot from where I was from, where Corey was from, or anywhere is not going to be the easiest approach shot either. So whatever the case is, just be prepared for a tough 17th hole, leading into a tough par 5 to finish. Nothing but trouble on the right, reachable water on the left, even with your fairway woods. You have to be precise on this hole. Corey hit a great looking tee shot, so did I, but unfortunately the water came really close to play for both of us. Corey's actually went in when mine stopped just a little bit short. The camera angles for Corey's shot and my shot right here really show just how much trouble is on this hole. Finish your swing, Rob, then you won't block it high and right. How about that? So either way, your second shot, if you lay up, which probably is a good idea for a 535-yard hole, should leave you in a decent spot to hit a wedge that lands softly on the green. The natural amphitheater that surrounds the green acts as a really cool scene for a finisher, especially if you were in a tournament or a small group. Having your friends finish in front of you and talk some smack, just watch, whatever. It's a cool finishing hole, and I love this view from the camera that I left set up on the cart. Little did I know it at this moment in time that my birdie putt, had it gone in, would have tied Corey at a 76, but my friend beat me by 1. I'll give it to you, bud. Well played. Wrapping things up here, the final episode of Season 2. Very happy and proud to bring you Horicon Hills. This place had seen some rough times in recent memory, but my goodness gracious, the one best way to get this place back on the right track is get your butts out here to play. And I strongly recommend it. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Playing Around Wisconsin. Your subscriptions are greatly appreciated. And thank you so much again for being a viewer. We'll see you in Season 3.
You're kidding me. Well, I'm glad the camera's recording that.